how and why you decided to get involved.
Yeah, of course. So I was a senior in high school. It was 2012, and I have a younger brother and a younger sister who are both in the same school district, and bullying was really out of control. We went to a very small rural school, graduating class of like 60, and so everybody knows everybody, and bullying was kind of, really starting to take over. And so I wanted to make a statement. I wanted to take a stand. It was my senior year, and I didn't want my brother and sister to go through the same things that other people were going through, during that year. So I decided to get together with Scott and, try to make a stand and make a video. And we did an assembly for the school, which was absolutely terrifying for me because I don't speak in front of people. I just kind of keep to myself. But I realized, the impact that it could make. And so we got together and did an assembly and stood up and was shaking and read off of a very tight script, and it kind of went from there. We started to see a change in our school, and other schools started to hear about that and said, maybe this is what we need in our school. And so that's kind of how it started, and it was really cool to be able to realize that I have a voice, because all throughout school I was just kind of the observer. I sat and I observed people's actions and reactions and never really did anything about the things that I saw that I didn't like, and being able to know that I have the power to do that, that was pretty cool.
I'm looking at the Facebook page that you guys have, and so many positive posts about you guys, about the organization. When you see the kind of impact that it has on thousands of people, what does that make you feel when you just go through some of those comments?
The feedback and the impact that we get, or the feedback that we get and the impact that we can see, it's remarkable. And it's the reason I've done it for the past 5 years. And it's really what keeps me going. And the ultimate goal here, I realize that I'm not necessarily going to have this voice for this particular audience forever. I was a high school student once also, and you get an adult that comes in and thinks that they know everything about everything, and you don't listen. They are probably experts, but the kids don't listen. And so my goal is really to try to inspire other students to kind of follow in the footsteps and speak their mind, use their voice for good, and kind of just take over my spot. And that's what I'll continue to try to do, is help students realize that they do have a voice and they can make a difference.
Speaking of following in the footsteps of both of you guys, talk about the local student who is essentially doing just that.
Yeah, so we went and we spoke at a middle school a couple years ago, and we had a student who was really interested in what we had to say, and we got our start by making a video for the Noble Challenge, and he was like, tell me more about how I can make a video. He's like, I've never made a video. And so which is exactly where we were. When we weren't professionals whatsoever. We had no clue what we were doing. And so being able to see students who like Colton, who are like, I want to do what you've done, and then actually go out and do it successfully, that's the goal. And who knows who he will inspire to follow in his footsteps. And so it's actually just it's a chain reaction ultimately of kindness, and just one small thing can turn into something so much bigger. So it's pretty awesome.
Why are videos so powerful in conveying? I mean, on the website you've got PSAs and documentaries and all these different type of categories. Why are they so powerful in getting the message across?
I think the videos are an extremely unique tool to fight bullying, because you're not directly breaking up a fight. You're not necessarily confronting a bully. You're putting your mind and your thoughts into a video and putting it out into the world for anybody to see and anybody to interpret. And so I just think it's so unique, because you can take your experiences, you can take your thoughts, and you can convey it in a way that is effective. A video can go viral, and it's not just necessarily for your community. Anybody in the world can see what you've created and decide to take something away from it. And so I think we always kind of say it's a safe way. People are always afraid to stand up because they don't want the bullying to turn on them, or they feel like it's not their place. And this kind of gives you a platform to make your voice heard. And And we've really seen it, especially with students all over the country who we've gotten to interact with directly. You know, just them saying, you know, I've gotten messages from people I don't even know, like, you know, saying that they interpreted it this certain way or it helped them overcome this, and I never intended for that to happen. Like, that's not even the message that I was trying to get across. But people take different things away from the art of filmmaking, and so I think that that's what makes it so special.
Bullying in today's society has transformed. I mean, with the social media and anonymous apps and things like that, how do organizations like yours adapt to kind of hit all of these different areas as bullying is transforming? How do you guys have to transform as well?
Yeah, we definitely have to keep up to date on what is happening. You know, we would hate to end up at a point where we're ineffective because we're completely missing out on a point. And so we're definitely, I guess we can back up a little bit. You know, I think that that's why the students creating the films are so important, because the students know what's happening. The students are the ones who experience it every day. And so having them be the creators of these films and being able to put that forth, like that's what we put on our website, is what the students create. And so it's whatever the student feels is, you know, the problem, and it is different from in every community. You know, we spoke at the Boys and Girls Club in Dayton, and we started to do our normal talk, and we were kind of stopped halfway through by the facilitator there, and she was like, you know, what you're saying is great. It's a great message, but it's not going to resonate with these kids because they see, you know, your kind of bullying is typing mean things on the internet, whereas theirs is completely physical. These were like 6th grade boys, and she said, you know, raise your hand if you've seen a fight in the past week. Every single person raised their hand, 6th graders. And for me, when I was growing up, I saw maybe one physical fight between kindergarten and the day I graduated. Things are so different in different communities, and so, you know, having the students be the ones to create the film, saying this is the problem in my school, and this is what's happening. I think that that's really what makes it so powerful, because we get so many different inputs, so many different lifestyles are expressed through the films that we see. So.
The message of empowerment for people who maybe are getting bullied, how do the videos, I guess, resonate, or how do you guys try to change the mindset of someone who may be a bully, or have you guys had that experience as you've been working?
Absolutely. Whenever we would go somewhere and speak, it's not necessarily within the videos. We can't, I mean, the videos that we created, we tried to resonate with the bully more, maybe, or with the victim more than the bully. However, when we do go out and we do talks, we found it most effective to try to reach every single person in the audience, you know, whether they fit more in the bully category or the bystander or the victim. And you know, the thing that I say the most is when I think back on high school, I remember the kids who were absolutely mean and made high school not a very fun experience. But at the same time, I also remember the kids who were very kind and made going to school, you know, enjoyable. Maybe I didn't really consider them my friends, but at least, you know, I remember them in a positive light. And so 10 years down the road, when all of your classmates are looking back on their high school experience, do you really want to be known as the person who made everybody miserable? Like, you do have that choice, you know. It doesn't take much to, you know, simply smile. I remember people who were just always smiling. You know, that's really what I try to get across with the bully. In addition to, you don't know what other students are going through. That person you sit next to in math class, they could be being abused. They could be being abused at home, and you don't know what they might be dealing with. And so, just making sure that everybody thinks twice before they either post a mean comment for no reason, or even if they retaliate. You know, if they see something they don't like and they want to make a comment on the internet or in person, you know, you just don't know what people are going through, and just kind of making sure that they understand that is the message that we try to get across.
Last question for me, do you have any personal experience being bullied, or do you have any situations that kind of fueled jumping into this project?
Sure. So, growing up again in a very small community and a very rural community, if you weren't really involved in sports or for us it was like 4-H and FFA, which I was involved in 4-H and FFA, but not to the capacity of other students. You were kind of the outcast because those were really the two main categories, was athletics and then agriculture for my personal school. And so growing up, going to that school, being a part of the LGBT community, it was very, very much an outcast, and it was difficult at times. That there was an instance in which we had a debate, a school debate on marriage equality. This was 2012, so it was kind of before all of that kind of started happening. And so I had my classmates saying things about me, and I wasn't necessarily out at that time. And so having my classmates who I interact with on a daily basis expressing their opinions on the rights that I should or should not have, it was haunting. Like if everybody were to know that I was gay, would they still be my friend? Would they, look at me differently? That was haunting. That was really hard for me to experience. And so mine was a little more of exclusion rather than direct bullying, but sometimes the feeling of exclusion can be just as haunting as somebody directly saying something to my face. And so I mean, mine was more of a silent sort of bullying that wasn't direct, and people probably didn't realize that they were doing, but it was pretty haunting until I got out of there and realized that the world is a much bigger place and the opinions of few don't really matter. So that was kind of my experience. It was just a lot of feeling alone and not feeling like I belonged, I guess. So that was my experience in high school. But yeah.
Anything else you want to add or say? Cover?
I just want to so a lot of victims of bullying, they feel lost and they're afraid. A lot of time, the advice that they hear all the time is, talk to somebody, talk to a teacher, talk to a friend, talk to a parent. And I think that the reason why so many students are afraid to do that is probably because they've done that. Most students probably have said something to, maybe a friend or a teacher, and nothing was done about it. And so they're like, well, what's the point if nothing's going to change? This is my life. This is, the way things are. And my advice to anybody being bullied would be to continue that conversation. Make sure it's continued. If you bring something up once, yes, it should be addressed, but it might not be. And so if you keep bringing it up and say, it's continuing, it's getting worse, chances are, if the person is a decent person and has a heart, something will hopefully be done about it. So it's not necessarily, I tried talking to somebody and it didn't work. Well, keep trying to talk to somebody. That's my big thing is, if things didn't work out the first time or things didn't change, try again, until things do change. Nobody, I mean, in certain instances, people know what's happening, but, if you want things to change, nobody knows what's happening or how you feel unless you tell somebody. And so my advice is there are people to listen. There are people that are going to be there to listen, and things will get better. So that's just kind of all.